All right, I'm here with David Azizi from the law offices of David Azizi, and we are going to discuss brain injuries and any type of brain reaction after a personal injury. Something we discussed last week and that we've discussed quite a few times was amputation injuries. And with an amputation injury, you kind of know what the ramifications are going to be. You know, if you lose a hand or you lose a finger, well, you can't do a certain job. But with a brain injury, it may take a while. You know, there may be some late onset of something, or you may lose your memory a year later. So generally, in your cases, David, that you have worked, how long does it take for a patient or a victim to go through the process of recovery before you can start the lawsuit process?
Okay. In terms of brain injury, there's three levels of brain injury. There's severe, moderate, and mild or minor brain injury. The severe and moderate, obviously, there's usually signs and symptoms which you could see, and there's signs and symptoms which you can pick up on certain diagnostic testings, such as MRI, CT scans, like you'll get a subdural hematoma or bleeding in the brain. With those kind of things, it's right away known what kind of injury somebody sustained as far as brain injury. And there's been enough, unfortunately, of these particular cases where the doctors can right off the bat tell you what this person's situation or circumstance is going to be. The more difficult ones are the ones where it's mild traumatic brain injury, which is, like I've said on several other videos of ours, you look normal, you talk normal, you walk normal, everything about you looks normal and sounds normal. But it's the day-to-day of your life where, for example, you used to have a good memory, now you forget stuff, or you have mood changes. There's a lot of signs and symptoms that a doctor, such as a neurologist, neuropsychologist, the doctors who specialize in this area, can tell you that somebody who suffers from a mild traumatic brain injury suffers from on a daily basis, which are subtle, minute type of injuries or problems that you have that only people that are close to you, such as family members, friends, coworkers that had seen you before the accident, that can tell, you know what, for example, David Azizi, he used to be able to recall everything that needed to be about a case, but since the accident, he's had mild traumatic brain injury, it's harder for him. He's not able to remember. He has to write down more information. His temper is really bad, or he suffers from headaches. There's a lot of signs and symptoms that exist for somebody that has mild traumatic brain injury. It doesn't all have to be the same signs and symptoms. It could be variable stuff. But again, I'll leave that to the doctors. They can explain exactly what it is. So with the mild traumatic brain injury, those are ones that take a while and require a certain amount of time to pass. For example, most neurologists tell you that within 6 months, 9 months is when, if you suffer from a concussion, which is a blow to the head, is when you would be able to tell, okay, this person's gotten better or not. If they continue to have the same signs and symptoms past that time, well, then that's where you got to do more testing. Then you got to see a neuropsychologist where to do a battery of tests and see what it is. Where it gets even more complicated is a lot of the clients that I've had is they've suffered bodily injury, orthopedic injuries, as well as the traumatic brain injury as well. And those pain that you suffer, for example, back pain, neck pain, causes emotional issues. So people then have a component of emotional effect, emotional injuries, as well as an underlying mild traumatic brain injury, which becomes then really difficult and complex to treat because you have to first treat this person back from an orthopedic standpoint, make him feel better, then work on them from an emotional standpoint, bring them back to how they were, try to do your best, how they were before the accident. You got to remember, sometimes these people, they get into an accident, they might not have to have a neck fusion. Well, once you have a neck fusion, unfortunately, they're fusing your disc. Your mobility is not as much. So, for example, I know you do a lot of CrossFit. God forbid, if you ever had to stop working out, that's a part of your day, you know, or you do a lot of activity. That would cause emotional problems for you in addition to the underlying traumatic brain injury that you have, and it becomes a vicious cycle and very difficult for doctors to treat. Is it treatable? Yes, but unfortunately, in some cases, some people, it takes years and years to be able to recover from that. And so we don't want lawsuits to take years and years, but sometimes the mild traumatic brain injury cases take some time until the doctors can kind of assess this patient falls within the category that it's going to be very difficult for them to recover. This patient falls within the moderate, medium. And then the patients that are very successful and are able to get back to how they were, but they just still suffer from the long-term traumatic brain injuries, such as the memory problems and other details.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just trying to consume all that. It is very complicated. And that is something that, anybody watching this video, if you or one of your loved ones or someone you know has had a brain injury, contact a personal injury lawyer. They have the resources. The law offices of David Azizi has the connections and the resources to help determine what has happened. If they, like you said with CrossFit, if I could not be physically active, I would change as a person. It's part of my lifestyle. I would be miserable. I would have tempers. Heaven forbid, you would not want to be around me. So all of that being said, contact the law offices of David Azizi. The 1-800 number will be in the video, and it will be in the information in the bottom as well. And thank you for your time and expertise, David.
All right, thank you.